change too much of your own style. That's the thing, is that you never want to fully commit to another person's style. Like, you still want to play your own game of Dota. Like, you think EG gives a crap about what anybody else is doing? Like, they're gonna pick the heroes that they feel like. They're gonna pick Sumail Storm no matter what the metagame is. You know, it's
and they just picked up a Klinks again, despite the fact that Klinks has not been particularly valuable in this tournament. EG, I know they've run it at least twice, lost once with it.
It's a really greedy.
Run it more.
It's a really greedy hero this game because they don't have the supports necessarily to back it. Like EG have to really snowball. Like CDEC's lineup is really balanced.
What supports to back up of Klinks?
I think you need something with more disables or that can harass, because I mean it's not like an Undying. We saw Undying Bloodseeker right against Arteezy's Klinks, but still, if it's a Darkseer, it's going to pressure you pretty hard. And ganking a Klinks is actually quite easy. You have like a timing window where
you just have to pay attention to Death Pact, and he like dies to any 1/2 nuke combo.
Yeah, exactly. So they have a good combination. I think the main thing is if you're CDEC though, you play your own game every game. You know, like you pick whatever you want. And, oh boy.
Oh, there it is. Tuztekis.
This is brutal.
I'm excited. So dual off lane, Tuztekis. Safe lane, Dazzle Klinks, mid Lina. CDEC, I mean, what's your best options versus a Techies? I mean, they could get a Zeus, right? Like, Zeus gives you that free kind of vision, but is Zeus actually that valuable? We've only seen a few of it in the group stage so far.
10 seconds
I don't know, man. EG looks so happy right now. Yeah. They just look full as a cucumber, so... I think pub game Techies versus actual Techies is okay, too, though. And it's not like EG have the best snowball. They don't have the best lineup to go ultra 6-slotted on all their heroes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, Tusk isn't the best hero to have as an ultra late game hero. Lina's pretty good, but Klinks actually isn't because he just has kind of terrible stats.
Right.
So it's probably okay to be in this type of position.
Prepare for battle.
Cobra looks so much like me.
Just wait until you lose that weight. All right, guys, welcome in to everybody tuning in on the live stream. We've got Evil Geniuses facing up against CDEC, probably the most hype match of the day. CDEC have been doing extraordinarily well in the group stage, probably blowing pretty much even the most fervent CDEC fanboys' wildest dreams out of the water with their performance so far. But they are facing one of their toughest opponents, Evil Geniuses, who have been a pretty standard top 3 prediction for most analysts.
Yeah, EG is... You look smart by just calling EG a top team, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a very difficult... Yeah, it's not a very difficult association to make. You say... It's like saying Secret's going to be really good at this international, all right. Or LGD. Like, everybody thought LGD was... I think that was... I know people like to say Vici, but... I'm pretty sure I heard most of the personalities.
No, way more people had
LGD.
Yeah, LGD as like a 3rd place slot, and Vici Gaming was more like a 5th place slot.
So things are kind of evening out. I guess the biggest surprises for me are both CDEC and Empire. I thought Empire would do a lot better, but so far it hasn't happened. And
you and me both, buddy.
Yeah.
You and me both.
But this is pretty much a game of like 2 titans. CDEC is a team that has so much going for them. They're a huge underdog. I mean, they're clearly proving they're not an underdog, actually.
Yeah, anymore. Like, going into this tournament, they would have been, like, if this was the first match of theirs in the group stage, they would have been, like, the biggest underdog. But as we can see, CDEC, they're just hoping to be able to get, I mean, just a tie they'd be happy with against Evil Geniuses. EG really want to be able to take this clean 2-0. We've got a Sumail Lina facing up against Shiki's Bloodseeker in the middle lane. A bottom lane, we do have an aggro tri-lane of CDEC. We've got Aggressive, Q, and Gardner. They've already brought counterwards to the lane and managed to take away
First blood mid.
AUIs. Oh, the ticks, and there it is. Sumail, that last Dragon Slave, is able to pick up the kill.
Oh, man. I watched that the entire way through, and it was so weird. Sumail just kept right-clicking him, and then Shiki actually put Blood Rage on himself. He had 200 HP left, and then Sumail just right-clicked him to death. And that's the 3rd time I've seen out of 4 games Sumail get a solo kill mid.
That guy's just so aggressive. That guy's just so aggressive, he just always finds the opening for that first blood before anyone else can.
Yeah, the fact that he keeps getting solo kills mid is just, it baffles me. Like, they really need to respect him a lot more. he's really unique as a mid laner because he pretty much values right-clicking you over CSing. Like, a lot of people go for heavy last hits or denies, but Sumail just runs at you nonstop and establishes lane control and tempo in this way. Like, he might miss a few CS early as a trade-off, but he's perfectly content with just getting the right clicks off on you to establish lane control as fast as possible.
Right, it's all well worth it if you manage to, I mean, obviously pick up first blood, but even just pushing the hero back and establishing the dominance from there is going to be able to get you that CS advantage by, like, the 4 or 5 minute mark. So Sumail is, as you can see, really utilizing that extra range of the Linas. The extra 70 range he has over most heroes. Putting pressure on the Bloodseeker. Meanwhile, this aggro tri-lane was kind of interesting from CDEC to start things off. They placed a very early counter ward that managed to take away AUI's triple mine stack that he had on the right side of the lane. But now, everyone seems to be kind of flip-flopping. The Universe came down to bottom lane, making it a Tusk Techies lane. But now we've got XZ, our Darkseer, as going to be soloing things up. Seems like they just want to keep pressure on Fear as much as possible and leave the Darkseer against the Tusk Techies, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this lane setup is actually really advantageous to CDEC. Because
the Courier is going to get picked off. That was just a hatchet. So no regen was actually coming in. That's really weird. I mean, the hatchet, he still would have been very low on HP. If Sumail actually managed to land like a Light Strike Array and then Dragon Slave if Shiki came forward, even just harass him with Dragon Slave. Like, Shiki, unless he can somehow get those last hits underneath the tower with Sumail up in his face, I just don't see how a hatchet by itself is good enough.
Man, isn't that the Han term? Hatchet?
It is.
I'm gonna say Calling Blade.
It looks like a hatchet, so that's what I always think of.
Okay. I think if you're CDEC, you actually have to.
Oh, well, Fear, he's going to be going down to the top lane. Oh, barely just managing to pick up that kill towards the tail end of it. Garter setting it up with the long-range Fisher. Fear just hung around a little bit too long, and CDEC, I think this is one of the biggest things that we've seen out of the group stage in order to deal with evil geniuses. You got to try and shut down some of their side laners, like we saw earlier, right? When eHome were playing up against evil geniuses, they first tried to deal with Sumail in the first game, but that didn't actually work out. So instead, they actually let Sumail do what he wants and started putting pressure on the side lanes. It was Universe that was really shut down by eHome.
I actually think that's I was just about to say, I think that's the strategy here, is that when you play against EG, in my opinion, no matter what, Sumail has a good game. Like, he's just the type of player that'll snowball. He plays the type of hero that'll snowball back into the game. All he needs is 1 or 2 kill streaks, and then he's fine. I actually think the better heroes to go for and kill, and PPD at top is going to get engaged on, but he should be okay.
Yeah, Black Cannons are already down, so.
I just think that it's Fear and Universe. If you can minimize their impact, just lower the amount of farm that they get, and just make the lanes difficult for them. I think that these are the 2 heroes on EG that you want to shut down as much as possible. Like, if Klinks doesn't get a good start, CDEC can apply so much pressure with the heroes that they have. They've got a Visage, they've got an Earthshaker. Those 2 nukes alone can almost kill him. Right. So if you're CDEC, you just want to be able to put pressure onto the Klinks. The Tusk isn't having the best game because he had a lane against Darkseer that was constantly ion shelling, and I think you just accept that Sumail's going to have a good game. Because if he solo kills your mid and he's got 27 CS, he's just going to win this lane. Like, it's not winnable at this point. They're rotating his support and allowing the Bloodseeker to just pure jungle, and I think this is a better move than trying to challenge him. Like, he's probably going to be disruptive, but as long as you can shut out the Klinks during this time, you're going to be fine. Because there's going to be a point where Fear gets his Soul Ring and a Deso, and then he just goes around the map 3-shotting people on CDEC. So it's important that they tempo control him early to delay that timing as much as you possibly can.
Right. You want to expand a little bit on Shiki's mid Bloodseeker that is now jungling. Obviously, he's probably kind of just been forced into this, but the general idea, most of the time we see safe lane Bloodseekers pick up like level 6 and then full-time jungle. It's a little bit different with a mid Bloodseeker. What advantages do you really see? Hold up. Top lane aggressive. He's going to be doped down. The suicide is there, plus the mine, and AUI will be able to pick up the kill in the gyrocopter.
That is so irritating to play against.
Yep.
It's just got to be frustrated more than anything. You can't really do anything about that. If you're CDEC, you just kind of have to let wherever that happens happen. But I guess the advantage of having a Bloodseeker mid versus having it in another lane is just the levels that you get. And actually, Shiki might be going down.
Oh, Laguna Blade! Oh, it's nighttime, so Sumail couldn't actually let him. He's the Light Strike Array still wants to go for Q. They managed to get a couple of nukes on him. The silence goes down as well, but Sumail is still operating with a double damage rune, so they need a little bit of extra help, and that's where Aggressive comes in. But Sumail is bottling up and running the long way around. Carter is here to be able to stop him, though. He's got a Fissure coming up. Light Strike Array already laid down. Not going to be able to get off the Fissure in time. Sumail will still be traded away for a support, though. Aggressive, well worth his rotation over.
Yeah, I think Sumail made the right idea there. He was trying to catch Shiki, and if he had gotten the Laguna Blade, it would have been well worth it. But I think the advantage of having a mid Bloodseeker is that you can put something, you don't have to prioritize picking him like this, and you can put another better hero that does more damage into the safe lane, like the Gyrocopter or the Razor, and at top.
Once again, jumping in on Shiki. Universe, though, by himself. Like, it's a nice small combination, the snowball into the Shadow Wave, but unless you have multiple heroes, it's not going to do so much damage that you can kill a core straight up. So that's not going to happen, and the little bit of stacking that was being seen, the hard... I say little, but this is like a 5-stack.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it allows Aggressive... He did get ganked early, but he's going to get back into this pretty quickly, and this is the strength of Gyro. It's not just all of the abilities that he has that does AoE, it's that he can do these jungle stacks using the cooldown because the cooldown is so low. 55 seconds to hit twice onto a neutral stack allows you to farm it insanely quickly. Like, you don't actually need items to be able to do it, just levels. So CDEC are it's definitely well worth the time to go for the stacks there, and if you're the Bloodseeker, that's kind of the problem here, is that Shiki's so under-leveled. He's only level 5, he doesn't even have a 6 at 8 minutes, that I think it's worth it for EG to just continue to pressure him and shut him out of this game entirely. Like, Sumail did die that one time, but he's pretty much still able to go wherever he wants, because they don't want to stick Q mid with the Visage. He just can't live. And Garter isn't able to move lanes either, because he has to stay on top of wherever Sumail's going. And so Sumail by himself is pretty much eating the space of 2 heroes right now. And this is what happens when you get solo killed mid, is that it snowballs out of control like this. It has an impact on the rest of the game.
Sumail's going to have a pretty fast Eul Scepter, in which case these cores, Bloodseeker, Gyrocopter, they're pretty susceptible to that magic damage early on. What kind of builds do you need to see for a Gyro and a Bloodseeker in order to deal with that kind of pressure?
The Bloodseeker right now just has to get whatever he can. He's about to pick up...
Does he go for the minus? The kind of recovery minus?
No, because he's struggling to get shreds right now. I think that going for the Midas would pretty much render your team really passive. At that point, you would just hope that the rest of your lineup can 4v5. And I think that's...
Oh dear, they caught him out. Running in with a Surge, great combination. Once again, Fissure leading into Aggressive, being able to close the distance via Rocket Barrage damage. They are able to pick up the kill. And also, seemingly, take this tier 1 tower. Doesn't look like any rotations are coming out from Evil Geniuses, and they don't really have great rotational heroes. Techies doesn't do anything for you. Dazzle, certainly not. And Universe by himself is not going to be good enough.
Most of EG's heroes are made for counter-initiating. They're not actually made to take fights, because how do you initiate a fight? You snowball a Tusk that isn't very farmed, who just hit level 6 in. Your techies, you could probably blow somebody up, but then you would lose 2 heroes as a result of that almost instantly. And CDEC can fight you from here on out, so maybe it would be worth it for the Bloodseeker, actually, to still get a Midas, because I think his team actually can 4v5. Like, the Darkseer almost has a fully completed mech. He's only the Buckler away. There are enough levels right now on CDEC to survive. And Aggressive is going to farm 2 stacks at once, so his amount of farm is actually going to be really decent too.
He's still going for the Helma Dominator, so looking to stack up the Ancients and get that really big farm advantage. I'm still concerned that leaves him a little bit low on HP pool. Where do you go after that Helma Dominator? Is S&Y target here? Do you go for the earlier BKB?
I think S&Y might be a little bit better.
Why is that?
I'm thinking about it right now. No, he should go for the BKB.
Okay.
I think you can survive pretty much anything that EG can throw at you if you get a BKB. The suicide attack will still hurt, I think, if he snowballs you from fog. And I guess he can get walrus punched. I don't know, most of EG's abilities do go through magic immunity. When Sumail gets an Aghanim Scepter, the Laguna Blade is just going to destroy him, so he probably needs some sort of stat item first after the Helm of Dom. Like, I think getting an S&Y is perfectly acceptable here.
Okay. Because it kind of feels like, especially with the Eul Scepter coming up on the Lina, if they don't have that early BKB on the gyrocopter, they're going to need to just keep the Earthshaker near the gyrocopter constantly in order to prevent the Yule's Light Strike Array Laguna Blade combo that will pretty much one-shot Gyro.
Yeah, the hopes there then is that you trade immediately with the Lina, because once the Lina uses that combo, she's actually really susceptible to death. She has 4 armor, 872 HP. You never really want to be in a position where you're not looking for one-for-one pickoffs there.
Yeah.
You're just looking to find one hero and kill. If you run into multiple heroes, it's almost like you don't want to do that unless you're in the far back line and you have backup with you. So that's kind of the weakness right now of EG's lineup, is if they get into a 5v5 fight, you can almost anticipate them losing 2 heroes pretty quickly, and so they have to be really smart about how they take these engagements. And if you notice, they're not really trying to take these engagements. Like, they're just trying to split up and farm, create as much pressure as possible. And this is what I was talking about. When Fear plays Clinks, he just gets the Soul Ring Treads, and then he kind of just goes around, looking for opportunities, scouting out heroes. And that's why they wanted to gank him early, to slow this kind of timing down. Normally he does this around 9 minutes.
Eternal Envy does that quite a lot too, where he just he picks up his Clink and just whole time in the enemy jungle, bouncing back and forth between the safe lane and the mid laner. And just, jungles up, he finds an opportunity to get a kill. Middle lane, they're going to be able to take out XD. Big pick off there, Sumail finally makes use of that Yule Scepter. We also saw earlier the Techie suicide. That was pretty obvious what was going to happen. So, nothing very special about that. CDEC, despite missing their Darkseer, are going to go ahead and try and take an early Rose shot. This is the advantage of having Blood Rage on your team, the increase of damage. They also have a very early Medallion from Q. And it seems like, due to the lack of vision from Evil Geniuses, they're not going to be able to spot this one out in time.
This is so huge from CDEC right now. This is the safest objective that they can go for, because they don't know where the mines are. They don't want to have to focus on that, and they realize that EG just can't fight into them right now. Like, the Earthshaker plus their supports are just better. Alina can't really do much against the lineup that CDEC have, especially once she blows her Yule Scepter, and there's not much that can protect her. Like, the Dazzle can grave for you, sure, but Dazzle's not an offensive hero. Techies is definitely not an offensive hero. It's like a passive-aggressive hero. You wait for people to die to you first, and then you can get aggressive on the map, but CDEC have an incredible 5-man roster, and I'm a little bit worried right now for EG, because with that Aegis, it's going to allow Aggressive to get really aggressive on the map. The Bloodseeker's steadily starting to catch up. Like, he hasn't died in quite some time. His CS still isn't the best, but you'd never really want to be in a position where you just kind of allow him to get back into the game for free, and that's what's happening right now.
I'm slightly concerned if this is going to be a problem, the 5-man from CDEC. I'm concerned that we see Fear going for Medallion. It's pretty normal for Clinks, but I almost feel like you need to speed up your Desolator timing just to give you more split push pressure in order to kind of offset the very clear 5-man that CDEC will be able to accomplish.
I think going for the Medallion is still okay. It's not ideal in these types of games, but you're going to go for the Deso anyways, and it does increase your damage for free. For 900, it's really cheap. And then you go for the Solar Crest, which is incredibly strong against a Bloodseeker who's so underfarmed. Right. Like, maybe he does still go for a Midas, because the rest of his team is doing really well. And the Gyrocopter is going to go for the SNY, which makes sense, right, if you think about it. If he goes to the BKB first, he still needs the SNY for the stats. Because there's so much that goes to the BKB. Like, there's actually no reason for him not to go for this. Otherwise, he'd have to go for something like a Satanic first for the raw HP pull, or a Scotty, and he doesn't want to do either of those things. Going for the SNY allows him to fight. And I think when you're this far ahead, going for drums is just game losing. Like, you want to build into the late game.
Right. CDEC start pushing on that tier 1 tower. You can see Q trying to wrap around here, does place a rather aggressive ward, but not much is going to come out of this. CDEC are just going to take the tower, and Evil Geniuses will treat this as time to be able to farm and maybe a little bit of split push. AUI does pick up his level 6 finally at the bottom lane. He's got a lot of mines around the map, by the way.
Yeah, he does, and the Bloodseeker does opt to go for the Hand of Midas. And I don't know how many mines that is. Is there a way to check?
Well, Techies, you can click on him and he's gonna get him!
There it is. Under attack.
Picks up one. Shiki, that's a big kill. Bloodseeker goes down. That was 4 different mines. He had 13 at one point, so.
Alright, so much for the comeback. That's a free snipe for AUI, and it's a huge one because the Bloodseeker was starting to snowball a little bit. He was catching up in levels and farm, and you don't want him to be able to just do that for free, like I said. And EG's lineup just can't really pressure on the map very well. Like, you have the Clinks and the Lina, but both heroes can get traded out.
They have the right idea. They've been searching for this Techies, and they will be able to actually get the kill. Fisher goes out before the suicide can from AUI. Nicely played. Fear immediately trying to cut the creep wave in the middle lane in order to allow his allies to take that middle tower, at least put some pressure on it. Fear starts backing up. He forced a couple rotations. Universe, meanwhile, doing something similar up there in the top lane. I mean, that one pickoff... CDEC still have a great opportunity because they have Aegis. They can go ahead, grab a gem, 5 mana to, you know, the tier 1 towers that are left, maybe even get a tier 2 here. I just don't see anything stopping them from doing it right now. You know, why is that middle tier 1 tower up if you can afford sentries or a gem and just take it?
It's really actually just good play by EG. What they're doing right now is they're splitting the map up as much as possible and forcing CDEC to react to their play. Like, look at Fear.
Yeah, nice
He
pick
actually isn't accomplishing a ton. He's just annoying them. And so they overreact towards it. So Universe gets to push out top. They send AUI bottom, and it's just CDEC playing reactionary Dota because what if, you know, there are 10 mines that you don't spot, half your team dies, and then EG runs you down. Then suddenly you're in a position where you lose all map control against a hero like Techies. So you can't really take these chances and not have them pay off. And that allows EG to open up the map. And it is risky by EG, but it's the right play to make. Like, get around the map, split up, look for individual pickoffs, just try to slow down CDEC's timing. CDEC have an Aegis, and they're probably still not going to be able to utilize it as much as they'd want. Like, out of this Aegis, they were probably looking to take 2 tier 1 towers, bare minimum, but with the way the game's going, they're just so afraid, and I think they're just playing a little bit too reactionary right now to what EG's doing. And
do you think,
going for top?
Yeah, XZ was already brought low by the landmines earlier. The ice shards misses, but the snowball, or maybe just the right clicks, will not. Now Universe in a bad position. He will be caught by the call down. Fisher combo. He goes down as well, but they got to pick off on the darks here. I think EG are happy with 1-for-1 trades that are, you know, even offlaner for offlaner, situation like that, just because it stalls up the game some more. In fact, that middle tower goes down in the process as well. Q actually positions himself in an awkward area, but Samael's not going to be able to capitalize on that one. We've got a gem now for Q, so hopefully they'll be able to, you know, actually take some control of this game away from the Techies. But I was going to say, it may also go back to CDEC's more passive play and overreactionary may come down to the Bloodseeker's choice in items. I asked you about the Midas, and you said, no way, that's just going to be a bit too passive. Shiki still went for it, and I think we are seeing the effects of that now.
I mean, going for the Midas here, when you assume your team is doing really well, is okay. I changed my mind, Cap. I get to do that.
All right, very well.
So he decided to go for it, and that was just because of the landscape of the game. Like, they were able to get the Roshan for free. Nobody really contested him. His team was doing good 4v5, but they're just stalling out a little bit longer than I think they want to, and it's allowing EG to open up the map a little bit more. And they weren't able, CDEC actually weren't able to utilize that Aegis whatsoever. Like, they didn't use it to get the bottom tier 2. They didn't get either of the tier 1s out. They had taken that tier 1 really early, and so this Roshan was probably just an objective they thought was really safe. There's no way that you can have mines there. So I think this is just more EG playing a little bit of mind games, but CDEC are still in a really good position.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're first of all, there's a couple things to kind of contradict what I was talking about. We have watched many teams before this group stage where we're like, okay, there is some pressure, they should start being aggressive, etc., but they've played very patiently and just waited for their opening, and that seems to be a game winner. Like, you don't want to try, just because you maybe want to be able to utilize that Aegis and 5 mana take towers, doesn't necessarily mean you should if you can't find the correct opening. But also another thing is that CDEC do not have bad late game by any means, right? EG, they're left with, you know, Tusk, which is a little bit questionable. Lena's obviously good, but, you know, is Clinkz really going to be able to out-carry heroes like Bloodseeker and Gyrocopter?
No, but that's why Fear is building towards the mid-game right now. He's getting a Deso soon. I mean, the great thing about Clinkz's item build is it allows you to both pick off heroes with the Medallion of Courage, which I think is why he just still decided to go for it. It's just a good item. Like, it gives you good... it gives you some mana regen, the armor is really good, and the Valor ability is fantastic. So it allows you to look for solo pickoffs using that, and the Deso allows you to both pick people off for cheap, and it allows you to split push towers, which I think are both necessary for winning this game if you're EG.
Yeah, I think that's one of the critical reasons. I mean, we talked about how this meta, like, you and I had a conversation very early on to the patch where it was like, okay, this seems to be like very team fight, like the intelligence heroes in general got buffs. We're going to see more intelligence cores come forward, which are more about team fights and maybe some push. that means there's going to be a natural reaction to split push, right? Like, there's going to be, if you don't want to fight, you want to try and split push. It seems like Desolator being such a cheap item, as well as being able to offer you that, is a prime reason why Clinks and Templar Assassin are seeing a decent amount of play.
And CDEC are smoked up, and they're running in, and they've got a gem, so they're feeling pretty confident. And
leading with the Fisher. Ankle Slam actually still controlling Sumail a little bit. They've managed to get a rupture on him. Sumail's just going to make the straight TP out. Universe, he actually managed to save his ally. Now, Universe is going to give up his own life for that, but it's still a big win. That was a 5-man gank, and only got the offlaner there, saving the much more critical Lina in order to pick up her Blink Dagger. And all the attention down at the bottom half of the map means that Fear is now able to take that tier 2. It's denied by Aggressive, but it's still map control taken.
Yeah, now you've got a Deso on Fear, and his team's done a really good job of splitting up the map for him. He's level 13 on the map right now. When it comes to net worth, he's just behind the Gyrocopter, ahead of the Bloodseeker and the Darkseer, and he's going to start to snowball, as this build is so cost efficient, Austin. It just allows you to get ahead, and split pushing is so easy. And CDEC, when you're playing against a Tusk techies, it changes things. Like, it messes with your brain. You think to yourself, we have to 5-man, we have to stick together, we have to go and walk around with our gem, because what happens if AUI had smoked up and, you know, decided to place 20 mines in our jungle? We don't know these things, and so it messes with your head. And in this mid lane,
yeah, he's trying to go on aggressive, but at the same time, Fear's come in from behind. He's going to be forced back with that Blood Rite. PPD is in an awkward position. He should be going down here. Shallow Grave will save him for the meantime. They want to go farther up. Sumail actually came in and tried to go for Shiki, but it looks like because of that, they started to go up for him and didn't manage to get PPD, at least not yet anyway. They already have the missile coming out with the vacuum, bringing him over the Fissure for the kill. Aggressive gets it with the Flak Cannon. Now that tier 1 glyphed up, CDEC will be able to take it. The rest of Evil Genius is quick to just try and split push as much as possible. And AUI has actually boosted straight for an Aghanim Scepter. So this obviously could be a huge factor. This means it's going to be very hard to push uphill to start with if CDEC ever find that opportunity, but you just never know if AUI is going to be able to single-handedly win a team fight at this point. Sumail's going to come in, Dual Scepter onto the Gyrocopter. He does not have the BKB, but the Light Strike Array missed. And that means AUI didn't get the opportunity to lay down the mine where he wanted. Now the cooldown's going to hit him, so he just suicides up. He realized he's 100% dead, so missed opportunity there for Evil Geniuses. But they're still forcing very defensive rotations out from CDEC constantly.
Yeah, if you notice, they're so afraid. They're just walking as 4 constantly. They're just thinking to themselves, okay, what if there is somebody down here? What if there are more mines? And, I mean, every single person can relate. This is like the one time where you could really reference playing pubs, where you just have been conditioned in this patch to respect techies. You walk up the hill, you dead, and then you're just like, why? Why did I do that? I knew this was a bad idea. And you just don't want to live in that type of regret. And CDEC just continues to play reactionary Dota, but I think with this BKB on aggressive and the next Roshan, this is when they make their move.
Yeah.
They are behind in net worth, but this is where I think they're going to say, we should even things up. We've got a Blink Dagger, a level 11, we've got a gem. There's not a whole lot more that we can ask for. You could get another BKB on Shiki. I think that's probably what you wait for. And that's the timing, is that you've got to hit timings in Dota. You can't simply just say, make arbitrary moves and be like, let's push bottom. Like, you got to have item timings. Like, once you get a BKB, what are you really going to get that's going to change anything? You're not going to farm for another 2,000 gold without applying pressure. So I think the smarter thing right now for CDEC to do is split up the lanes, push them back, make sure you're not getting split pushed.
Oh, Echo Sight gets laid out. Carter showcases that Blink Dagger. PPD is still going to be caught by the call down. They're going to turn around and try and complete Carter's kill, and they will get it. But Sumail has to commit suicide there, and they got PPD there with the tail end of the vacuum. Maxine nicely played from CDEC. 2-for-1 exchange, of course, one of them being a suicide, but it's still lost Bloodstone charges for the Lina. And in seeing that timing, I was going to bring up this same exact thing. CDEC, they're about to pick up double BKB, despite the fact that they're a little bit behind in net worth and experience. They can definitely, change everything here by utilizing those BKBs to win some fights and take some towers. EG, though, what's the correct response to that? You don't want to fight, right? You do not want to fight into those BKBs. You just try play like very aggressively like Sumail just did and go for a pickoff on somebody. Force defensive reactions from CDEC. If you can make trade-offs or even just get free kills, it delays CDEC's push.
Yeah, exactly. Delay, delay, delay. That's the name of the game for EG. Even if EG have worse late game, they have much better pickoff potential, and their heroes are just irritating to play against. Like, CDEC don't have the best pickoff potential because their Bloodseeker is so underfarmed. Like, if this was a level 15 Bloodseeker with SNY BKB, then maybe, but they're actually going to get another kill here at top, and that's a big one onto the gyrocopter. This just further delays the timing, and they might get Universe.
Yeah, Universe is going to be caught here, and Chant Totem slows him down. They will pop him. Nice and quick. Still, though, the gyrocopter kill, much more valuable for Evil Geniuses.
It just delays the timing even more. I know we've said that 100 times, and people must be irritated by now, but this is what CDEC don't want to happen, because they've got a BKB on both their cores. They have dire side advantage. They've got a medallion, so Roshan is free, but EG, if you even slow that timing down by 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to start to snowball on items. As we see, Sumail has a dominant lead in net worth. The Clinks' items right now are particularly strong.
Oh, AUI, can he get the suicide off in time? Nope. Not quite. Still, though, Fear's going to come in from the side. Uphill advantage. Doesn't really matter too much. He's still just doing so much. XZ drops quite low. Sumail actually blinks forward, going for more here. Sheik actually forced to pop the BKB. XZ, the last right click. No, still 70 HP. But that cheap damage from Fear. Oh, he actually ran out of his Death Pact. I think that was the last bit of damage he really needed.
I actually thought he was going to get it because the weave was on the tail end.
Yeah, he had both. I think he also had the medallion on him as well.
Yeah, now EG actually have control of this Roche area. Fear's got a Deso and a Medallion of Courage. This is going to allow them to do it so quickly. CDEC don't have their Earthshaker, but I still think you have to take this fight. You've got your BKB up on your gyrocopter, but it's going down so quickly. I don't actually know if they have time to respond to this.
Oh, with the blink in, they definitely can. Already get a two-man blink. Universe popping that snowball in order to dodge some of the damage, but he's still going to go down here, slowed down by the Shell Grave. Fear turns and fights aggressive as best as possible, but maybe realizing this is a bad idea, he'll still get the kill, but he's stunned up by the homing missile. It will be taken out by Shiki, it seems, as the return.
Oh, is he going to get away?
No, Shiki, he just needs the extra bit of movement speed. He'll catch up with Fear eventually, it looks like. Sumail, oh my goodness, he actually yules, but the Vintage finds him in the end. Shiki goes down to Sumail, though, with the Laguna Blade. Strikes him out nice and quick, finally down. PPD needs some help. Fisher gets laid out onto him. He will be chain stunned out of this one. And in the end, they managed to stop the Roshan. CDEC are probably going to be happy that they at least keep that intact, but they lost their two very important cores. Yes, they got 3 kills for it, but Gyrocopter and Bloodseeker down. It makes it, I would feel like a rather even fight, just because the cores maybe didn't get as much from CDEC.
It will be advantage CDEC, though, because they're going to get the Aegis out of this. This is the benefit of being on the dire side. Fear, they actually might be able to fight it, because Fear is going to be up in just 24 seconds. CDEC's cores are going to be up a little bit sooner than that, but this next Roshan fight is going to determine so much. EG don't want to give this up, and I think they can defend it, and CDEC doesn't do too much damage. Like, their physical cores, their Bloodseeker doesn't do any damage in these fights. Like, he's got a BKB, but that's about it. Yeah. Even his armor isn't too great, so Fear is able to fight him down 1v1 pretty easily. The Black King bar does nothing for Fear. Like, he doesn't really care that the Bloodseeker has him. And he's got a BKB of his own now, and so it's going to be really easy for EG to engage this. And I think they want to.
I'm just not so sure CDEC's going to be able to take that Roshan now. It seems like we're going to have a big fight. And they already have a couple mines inside of the pit as well. Roshan's healed up to about half HP. Fear starts leading things off. Shiki throws out the Blood Right just to get some vision inside the pit. Fear daring CDEC essentially to jump in and try and stop him because he does have that BKB ready to go, and if they don't,
the weave is on all 5 of them.
Here comes CDEC, they're going to move forward, 2-man Echo Slam, they managed to control some of these heroes, but Sumail with the self-fuel scepter will be able to blink away. Nice move, but still, Aggressive is right on top of Universe, and will be able to finish up Sumail as well. Sumail, yeah, he goes down before he can get off anything more. Fear now turns to fight up against Aggressive. He's got that Aegis, but his BKB is going to be running out, so he just tries to get away from this team fight.
And they're struggling really hard to lock people down.
Grab that haste! Oh no. He will die because of that.
I don't think it would have mattered. No. He is so dead right now. That was such a good fight though by CDEC. Like, they just... EG didn't really have a lot. They ran out of steam really quickly. That Earthshaker Echo Slam was so huge, but EG Fear can make this okay.
Aggressive! He turns, called out, he actually tries to go for the missile, and Fear is now going to be backing back into that one. He knows he has to come into the gyrocopter. Sumail's going to help him out with the Laguna Blade. They make the 1-for-1 trade-off for the Aegis coming back.
They want to fight this?
Yeah, they're out. They do not want to get into this fight because Sumail knows they have the advantage. Already, the Yule Scepter into the Light Strike Array, picks up one. Shiki will make the TP out. Great fight for Evil Geniuses after what was kind of a wonky Roshan fight. Yes, they got Roshan, but they lost a number of heroes for it.
And if you look at the fight recap, EG walk away with that at the end there with 1530 gold up, and they still lead in net worth despite the Aegis. I mean, they had the Aegis, they almost lost it, or they lost it actually, right? And then Sumail comes in, completely turns around the fight with that Boots of Travel. They completely forgot about the Bloodstone Lina. Like, they just thought that she was going to respawn at a decent time, and
man, the Aghanim's techies, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah,
but I've been watching him for a while. The Aghanim's advantage here, it's not about the minefield sign. It really isn't. Level 2 mines is enough with an Aghanim Scepter to instantly kill the whole entire creep wave. So all I'm watching is AUI push out the waves faster than any other hero really can. You know, like, I play a lot of Timbersaw, right? I love it when I'm able to get the level 3 Chakram, because I throw out a Chakram and I Whirling Death, and the creep wave's dead, right? I can do split push amazingly quick because I just instant kill waves. This is exactly what AUI's doing, just so much earlier than any other hero could, because he just rushed the Aghanim Scepter. And because of that, he's just not getting any opportunities. Yet I constantly have to address the side lanes.
Yeah, and it's really difficult for them too, because they don't want to get picked off while they do this. Cheeky and Vin's going to get initiated on.
Already he's down and out. Sumail with that level 3 Aghanim's Laguna Blade always makes such short work of Bloodseeker. The rest of the team is still coming in from behind though. CDEC. Aggressive's going to be the first one forward here. And XC blinking forward, managed to get the vacuum onto 2. Carter still waiting it out. He's going to be able to hit the Fissure onto Sumail. The rest of Evil Geniuses ready to mount their response, or maybe they just give up Sumail here. Echo Sign gets laid out. Oh, Carter just missing his opportunity for the blink there. Could have gone for more. Now the blink forward and the snowball into Gardner, who blinks away from his team. It's going to be hit by the Walrus Punch. Universe trying to make that 1-for-1 trade out, but will not be successful. The Fissure takes him out, but at the same time, they've already given up their Visage, and the rest of the team has to back up. Aggressive and Gardner are low enough. Sumail looking for more, though. Has his Blink Dagger and Yule Scepter ready to go. Will be able to get in range of the Yules. Drake Array with Fear there as well. Aggressive's got to be done for. Another pick off, and Evil Genius is well set up to push uphill and force those buybacks.
They don't even care, I think, if they buy back at this point. They can back if they want to, but they know the Bloodseeker is just not in fighting shape right now. He only has 1400 HP. He can't Blood Rage himself, or he'll just get one shot more or less by the Lina.
Minefield sign too.
Yeah, there's no way they can actually defend this anymore.
Yep, the tower advantage is now to EG, essentially. They're going to try and force it anyway. Jump in, vacuum, TP in from Aggressive, manage to get the call down. Sumail makes the blink away, once again gets some distance. PPD is the first force, and Fear is actually stuck inside that Fissure. He's in a bad position. Nice TP out from PPD, but Fear's still going to be run down. Potentially, Shiki's got to be forced away. Fear just has so much damage right now. Aggressive will still be able to get the kill in the end. Earthshaker, his dying breath, lays out that Fissure in order to ensure the kill on the EG carry. Aggressive trying to chase away the rest of Evil Geniuses, and they will be able to recover that gem. That Q dropped still, though. That was buybacks forced. That was both the Darkseer as well as the Gyrocopter who were forced into a buyback. Only the Lina, who bought back before in that earlier fight. Still advantage to Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, EG's going to be incredibly satisfied with how that fight went. They got the minefield down mid. The next push is going to be so much stronger as a result, and it's not like CDEC are getting a ton of items to catch them back into this game. What's going on right now is they have to blow the buyback just to kind of remain even, and a lot of their damage is just coming from the power of the call down Rocket Barrage. Once EG, you probably get a BKB at some point on Sumail, then it becomes really difficult to kill him. And your Bloodseeker just isn't expanding his inventory. If you look at his items, he's got a BKB and a Midas, but he's had those items since the last Roche fight, and even before that last Roche fight, this is what he had to begin with. And so now he's added a chainmail.
Like, he's had the SNY BKB combination for so long. And Butterfly is his natural next item because it's going to be good versus the Clinks, who goes such, raw, cheap damage, isn't going to invest in an MKB right away. But at this rate, Fear's going to have an MKB before Aggressive can finish up his Butterfly.
Yeah, probably more importantly is that CDEC, if you look at both of their cores, the BKB timings, you've got a 5-second one and a 6-second one. And EG, they still have an 8-second BKB up on that Clinks. It's going to make them incredibly powerful, and both teams are going to go for a smoke. And if CDEC can win this fight, I mean, they definitely have the jump potential with the Vacuum plus Earthshaker Echo Slam combination, but it's going to be hard for them because they really need a dream fight.
They certainly do, so it may just be all about where that battlefield presents itself. CDEC, they're going to make their rotation around behind the middle lane. They already see that middle is being pushed out by some of the mines from AUI. And it's actually going up to the racks now. CDEC may just have to TP back.
they still want to look for somebody, but the smoke timing is run out, and luckily for them, EG don't have the best wards in their own jungle, because obviously they're playing aggressively, but this one should spot them coming back around, and EG's going to see this a mile away.
It's incredibly obvious when no one is defending the creeps that are hitting the range racks what's going on, right? CDEC are obviously out and about, 5-man smoking, looking for a pickoff somewhere. So EG just kind of play defensively around this cliff area.
If EG are just paying attention, they're going to see the Bloodseeker still has nothing. Like, he's got the chainmail. I presume that's just because he's like, I need some sort of items. Like, maybe you go for an Assault Curse, but you just need raw armor right now as it stands. And they do have a decent amount of mines, but the Visage should be able to clean that up. He still has this gem, and I think that's the only one left that they have. So if they lose this one, it's going to be... Oh no, they've got one in base, actually. They won that last fight.
And every single time they do go for those mining situations, they are oftentimes losing the familiars, which is still a good amount of gold going to EG. What a classic Techies mine spot. Right there in the middle lane, in the trees. It's basically because the AoE is big enough that even if they do have a gem, they could just walk straight through the middle lane, not see those mines, and still take all the damage because the AoE is big enough.
This is just a frustrating game right now for CDEC, because they're going to ask themselves, like, where did it all go wrong? Why is this game...
XD trying to get the silence off with a vacuum, but AUI had that second opportunity. Get the suicide out, the rest is CDEC struggling, not sure what to do. Roshan, potential spawn time in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
I mean, CDEC are pretty prepared for any sort of 5-man. They've got a really good lineup of counter-initiating. Don't get me wrong, the Earthshaker plus Darkseer is really strong. It's just their cores right now that are struggling. Like, if this Bloodseeker was 3 or 4k more net worth, conceivably they might even be ahead. That would... Yeah, they'd have enough, because the Techies has so much of a net worth lead on pretty much everybody else at that bottom area, the bottom 5, that you're not too worried about the Techies' net worth. Or you just have to not be. Like, you pretty much have to ignore it if you're CDEC. You're just like hoping that he doesn't mine you at that point.
Maybe a better way to boil it down is that the net worth on the CDEC cores is just worth more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
3,000 on a Bloodseeker is maybe worth 5,000 on Alina.
It's just such a big difference right now, because Alina has double what the Bloodseeker has.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of comprehend that. Double the Bloodseeker's inventory, and he'd be so happy right now.
He's hitting so hard, too. It's got a double damage, I guess, but...
Oh, they know Fear's here.
What are they going to find? Fear. Try to vacuum him up. Fear will be able to get into the trees. AUI is hiding out with him as well. CDEC actually missed their opportunity.
Everybody
and
from
now EG,
rotating.
yeah, they're actually going to try back here. Already the weave laid out. The snowball's going to be the first one out. They're going to try and focus on Garter, make sure he doesn't get a good Echo Slam. And they start things out right. Garter almost drops immediately. Sheik is going to be forced back by Laguna Blade. Garter's not dead just yet. And Fear puts some damage out. XC drops incredibly low. That weave minus armor taking away these heroes. Oh, Garter, he gets caught by Universe. Found him. CDEC are still trying to just hold around this area, and I'm not sure why. Now already one TP rotation has occurred. Aggressive now pops BKB, turns to go for some mail. Almost getting, but nice snowball save. Goes out to the left-hand side over to the creeps. And Aggressive with all that minus armor and the physical damage of the Clinks make it look easy to rip him apart. 22-6, almost a 40-minute marker, and Evil Geniuses gain more and more control of the game as it goes on.
And Sumail opting to go for the Black King bar so late is such a smart decision. Now you're really starting to see it pay dividends. That 10-second BKB, it just feels like an impossibly long amount of time for CDEC. That's kind of the strength of the Lina Yules too, is that if you don't pop your BKB when she laser combination on you, then you just die to the Lina. And so every single time the Lina Yules you, and it's in a team fight, you pretty much have to pop your BKB. And now, so as a result, CDEC have 5-second BKBs on both their cores, and it just doesn't last long enough. Like, EG have enough of a lineup with various heroes where they can just make the fights last a really long time.
Nice familiar drops there from Q to kind of cover his retreat. Got initiated on by the Yule Scepter play. But one of those familiars is still going to go down. Jesus, Sumail's just so fast and such long range, he still catches one.
Oh, they're
Jump
gonna
in
blink
XZ. He tried that one. Snowball is going to be pursued all the way into the Tier 3 tower. Universe immediately pops BKB with Fear on the side. Well, he almost finished off XZ. Finally, Dragon Slave does get him in the end as he was locked in with the Ice Shard. Sumail blinks forward uphill. Doesn't actually do anything with that one. Fear is going to just wait out the Rupture. And they still, Gyrocopter down for 11 seconds. They're actually going to find more here with Q dropping the gems on the ground. And they still need another 5 seconds for the Gyrocopter, and they do not want to buy back on him, obviously. So CDEC still need another fight, but Sumail, he finds maybe a potential another pickoff. The XZ blinking in, immediately torn apart with the Eul Scepter Laguna Blade. CDEC still looking for an opening here, but not able to really fight Fear at all. Look at the damage on Shiki by itself. There goes the Gyrocopter, the combination out from Universe and Sumail. Echo Slam gets laid out, but the damage dealers are already gone. Carter, he can't do anything by himself. Will eventually be run down. He's just buying his team seconds at best. That's got to be a lane of racks, probably a second lane of racks, GG.
Yeah, they're just going to call it there. They realize that there's no such thing as an ideal fight for them anymore. The Earthshaker actually had a really good Echo Slam. There's just no damage on the side of CDEC anymore, and I mean, this game, you could kind of see the direction it was going on early game because of the early death by Shiki mid, and the tough start that he had. When Sumail had his Eul Scepter, he was still struggling to get his treads. That's not really a recoverable position, because then it forced CDEC to abandon their aggressive tri-lane. Like, that was actually going to do a really good job, because the Darkseer can be